Hello everyone, and welcome to the third video of Civil 3D for Land Surveyors. In this video, we'll be going over how to create an existing surface with gathered survey points and the existing conditions we made from the previous video. Alright, let's get into how to make an existing surface. So first and foremost, let's go up to our points, go to Point Creation Tools. We're going to import our points, click the plus mark. Find the CSV file you're using, PNEZD, comma delimited, click OK. Come on now, there we go. There's my points. Just gonna toss that out of here. Then we'll go to your home tab, and over here, just below points, there's surfaces. Click on that, click Create Surface. We're going to name this guy, we're going to name it EXT, or actually EXST, yeah. EXST for existing style. This will be in survey, let's do it in 1 foot dashed. Click OK. Cool. So if your tool space isn't turned on, turn it on. You'll be in the Prospector tab, and you go to Surfaces. Click the plus mark to extend this out. We're going to keep going through it until you get to your definitions. Open that all the way. And then point groups, we're going to right click on that, click add. We're going to go to topo points, click OK. Alright, now we need to look at our point groups. So you just hit the plus mark. We see that there's this yellow exclamation here. Just right click, go to update. That should be good. Now we'll get a whole bunch of other exclamations along the surfaces and everything that's tied to those point groups. So just right click on your surfaces here, go to rebuild out of date items, and there we go. We have now created a surface with all of our existing survey points. Alright, so from here I want to discuss what we are looking at. So we have two different colors going on here. The yellow represents your minor contour, while the orange and or brown color is your major contour. And one of the things you need to understand about the surfaces, these are all created with a tin. So I just want to go over what a tin is. So in Civil 3D, a tin stands for a triangulated irregular network. A tin is a 3D surface made of connecting triangles. So imagine you have a bunch of survey points with elevation. Civil 3D connects the points together, forms triangles between them, and uses those triangles to create a ground surface. Each triangle is flat, but there are thousands connected together, and they form hills, slopes, roads, and so on. Super simple example here is if you shoot two topo points in a field, each point has X, Y, and Z. Civil 3D draws triangles between them, and those triangles create your surface model. That's what the surface is made of. It's made of a tin, which is a bunch of triangles connected together. Right now we can only see the contours. So if you want to see how the tin is looking, if you click on the contours, right click, and then go to Edit Surface Style, you can go over here to Display, and you can click this light bulb, click that on, click OK, and now you can see your triangles, and that is your tin. So now that we have this put together here, if you're wanting to define the shape and like define the road and so on and so forth from here, you're going to want to create feature lines and break lines. So real quick, a feature line is a 3D line that has elevations that you can use to control grading. A break line is a line that controls how the surface triangles form, and it tells the surface where there's a sharp change and so on and so forth. So to do this, I'm going to use the line work from our existing conditions. I'm going to copy and paste them into our existing surface and then change those into feature lines and break lines. So the lines I want for right now are all of my top back of curve. So I'm just going to select all of these guys. And then I'm going to Control Shift copy 0, 0, 0. Enter. Go back to here. I'm going to turn these triangles off real quick so that way it's a little bit easier to see. Otherwise, it can be quite a distraction with all these lines all over the place. So let's just turn that off real quick. All right. All right. So to change these into feature lines, just select all of your TBC. Go to your Home tab. And here's your points, here's your surfaces, here's parcel, and then here's feature line. You click on this. In the drop down here, we want to create feature lines from objects. You don't have to worry about any of this information. I would just go here to the conversion options here, and I would hit assign elevations. That's just in case like something was set to 0, it'll snap your line to like the closest elevation. So just click that on, click OK. Just from surface, click OK. And cool, these turn white, so that tells us these are feature lines now. If you ever need to know whether or not they are feature lines or not, you can type prop for properties, and then your properties menu over here will say, hey, it's a feature line. All right, so once you have feature lines, you can then turn these into break lines by you click on it. It pops up with its own ribbon or tab or whatever you want to call it. And throughout here, we have a whole bunch of different options of stuff we can do, and one of them is we can add to surface as break lines. So you just click that guy, click that guy. It'll ask for what surface you're using. We only have the one, so it's their existing, so click OK. Description, I always just call these break lines. Click OK. And now we have created a break line. So if we go and click here, and let's turn our triangles back on. You can see that it will start to make triangles along here to create this line. If you want to view your surface in a 3-dimensional space, you can click on it, right click, and then object viewer. Why is it so tiny? There we go. All right, so it gives us into like a 3D hidden line pattern thing going on here. If you go over, click this, it has all different types of styles you can put it into. I normally do like shades of gray, or you can do, I think 3D wireframe. 3D wireframe's all right, but like you can start to see how this looks in a 3D space. You can see where I think there might be like building points or something over here. I'll have to define that more to see what's going on, but you can get the general idea of how this is starting to look, we're going to create and mess with the feature lines. We're going to go a little into detail on making some like detailed curb and gutter and so on to really define what the shape will look like. Because right now it's just kind of a mess. We go to I don't like realistic, but yeah, we're gonna go through and fix some of the stuff to really make this surface pop out more and look like an actual surface and not like kind of like a mess. So we'll go into that, but first we need to go back over here to our surface. Just open up the definition. You have a break lines here. You're going to want to delete this before you create any more break lines. Then you have to refresh your surface. I'm going to set mine to rebuild automatic, because I don't want to have to. I can see the changes in real time if you have it set to that. Except it will bog down your computer and might possibly make it crash. So if you don't want that to happen, don't put it to rebuild automatic. Just set it to rebuild. But I'm going to do that because I like seeing my surface come together. But anyways, we're going to start defining all these shapes out a little bit better. And also, for your break lines, you can always just delete, like, come back over to your definitions, go into your break lines here, delete them there. Don't delete them like the actual lines themselves, just delete the break lines over here. Your break lines, I'd get your feature lines well defined and figured out, and then you can just create your break lines afterwards, and then just put them all together collectively. That's what I always do, and that's what we're going to do. But we're going to start defining the shapes on this. So first off, let's click on this. So this guy, so it has its own ribbon with a whole bunch of different editing options and whatever modifying options along the way. When I zoom into here, there's these boxes that are on your vertexes, and then there's circles along here which are like inserted PI points, and your PI points are point of interest, and like it'll create and make it so triangles will snap to it and so on. I want to get rid of these because I'm gonna do like intervals of like 5 feet to like really define the surface. So you go up here to elevation editor, pops up this menu, click the top guy, go all the way to the bottom, hold down shift, click the bottom dude, hit this guy here, which delete elevation point. It's going to leave the vertexes alone. They come in as these triangles while the circle is the PI. So just click that. It'll get rid of these circles. Cool, I don't want those. Alright, now we're going to start defining this. So your feature line has its own options for editing. Right now we're going to start offsetting with this guy. So over here, you have your edit geometry. There's an offset tab here. You click that. Specify, so just read your command line. It wants distance. So I'm going to do for the curve face, which is 1/2 foot. So click that. It now wants the side just offset to. I'm going to offset it this way. And now it wants to know the difference in elevation. Your TBC and curve face are going to be at the same elevation, so just leave this at 0. Click enter. Cool. Now there's our curve face. I do not have survey points for the lip of curve. That's fine. Let's go over here real quick. We're going to do the same thing. Click this guy. Do our offset. 1/2 foot. This direction. 0 for the elevation change. Alright, now we're going to do our flow line. So the flow line is typically This guy is 2 inches over, so you can just put 2 divided by 12 here. It'll figure that out. We're going to go that direction, and then it's half a foot down, so negative 0.5. And then when I hit enter, it'll make that flow line there. So real quick, if I want to check to make sure this is going in correctly, if we come up here to our view tab, click that guy, go to viewport configuration, put it to 2 vertical. We're going to create 2 new viewports. We can take this side and we can start messing with how it's orientated. So we're going to do northeast isometric. If we zoom in, we can see that this dude is now stepped down. It looks, you can tell a little bit more on this curve here, but we can see that goes down, which is perfect. That's what we want because we're defining a curve. Not a curve, but a curb. And you can just continue to leave this viewport over here. That's what I'm going to do. That's how I normally have this set up, is I have 2 viewports. One where I can see what's going on at a more isometric view, and one that's just straight down on the plan view. Okay, so I just want to go over if we were doing if we were having to finish the rest of these feature lines here. If you ever don't know, like if you don't have the lip of curb points, all I would do is, if you know the dimensions for a standard 24-inch curb and gutter, you just use those dimensions. So like for instance, for this guy, we're an offset 0.5. That's for the curb face. Elevation, just keep that at 0 because it's just going to remain the same as the TBC. This guy here, we're going to offset 2 inches. And then it's going to go this way. And then it goes half a foot down. That's your flow line. And then for this guy, we're going to offset 1.5 feet. Yeah, 1.5 feet this way. And then for the elevation, we're going to do minus, it should be like 4 1/8 inch. So that comes to 0.34375, and that should be your lip of curve. And then I'll just do the same to each one of these guys. So I fix that for this side and this side. One thing I noticed, so down here, so if I change this view, I think it's the northeast. Nope. Be northwest. Yes. So with my feature lines here, you can kind of see how they're dipping and diving down. They're doing some weird stuff. So what I'm going to do is go to elevation editor. It has some like increments or intervals or so on and so forth that it's put into here. So if I just click the top, click the bottom of this, click this delete key, that'll delete all my increments. Now just straighten that line out. And now I'm going to straighten all of these by doing the same thing. Okay, I've straightened all these out. The thing I want to change here, so you can see how these start to level out. I think looking at these elevations, you go over to this lightning bolt over here, do quick elevation. We can see how from this TBC is 4536.88. This one's saying 4536.85, so it's not going to create the depth that we want. So in order to change this, just click on it. And then now we can mess with the elevation here. I have to minus 4 1/8 inch from that to make it go lower. So that's what I'm going to do now. This guy should be 0.54. I'll put it lower. Gotta do the same here because that your lipid curve is not going to match the same elevation as your TBC. This is just the same elevation, so we can just put that as a 0.4 at the end again. 0.54. That drops that. Need to fix this guy. But anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through where I've noticed this is why we want our second view, that just so we can see it in isometric space. The inconsistencies. I'm going to go and just fix up the rest of these elevations. Okay, so I've gone through and I've fixed a lot of this just to smooth out and make sure everything looks good. So when I add them in as break lines, we can get a really defined surface here. This isn't, at least for this project, it's not entirely important. I'm just kind of going through and doing these feature lines and break lines and whatnot just to show you guys how to do it and how to make everything look nice and how to set it up. So I hope this is helpful. One thing I will say, I need to create this guy as a feature line. But the thing is, with feature lines and break lines, you do not want them to be connecting. Like, you can make them ever so slightly off. So like, for example, I have my edge of asphalt here and like the lip of curve, I'm just going to have end in that general direction as well. So like, I'm going to snap this to this elevation for now. But then I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to move it like ever so slightly away from this point. If you have individual break lines and feature lines connecting to each other, they kind of freak out and they don't work as properly as they should. So like with your feature lines and break lines, I tend to leave like little tiny gaps in between them, so that way they can start creating your triangles correctly. It's just a weird thing. I don't know if AutoCAD's ever fixed this, but that's just something I've noticed, where if you have them just ever so slightly not touching each other, it should not create problems when creating break lines and triangles between the break lines. So yeah, just have that guy off just a little bit. And then same for this. This is my edge of asphalt. It's going to be coming all the way down here. I have a building here and kind of like some concrete sidewalk going on here. It's not really sidewalk, but need to point this out. Like this is the, you barely see this, but the extent of my property goes to like here. So I'm just going to end a lot of my surface over this direction, but I'm just trying to put just enough detail in here to make things work. So yet again, but yeah, I'm going to create feature lines, break lines for my edge of asphalt for this building and for the sidewalk here. But like I said, you got to remember that the feature lines and the break lines don't like touching each other. So I would just break these guys. I'm going to break this one here. To there. And then I'm going to ever so slightly push this guy this way. Ever so slightly push this guy that way, and this will be like 1/1000th of an inch. It's going to be very, very short. Push that guy like that. Like when you zoom, like you're not going to notice that, and it should not create any issues. Same with this. So this is going to be a separate line, which just ever so slightly push it over there so it's not touching this building when I create a feature line and a break line from it. But yeah, that'll be, I'm not going to show this obviously, but I'm going to finish just creating break lines, feature lines with these, and then we'll come to the last couple of things I want to mention while creating all this information. Okay, so I have all of my line work done. I have everything I want. I got everything fixed correctly, so it should all be good. The last thing I want to do to create a more smooth surface and like transitions and so on and so forth, what you want to do is just grab your feature line. You're going to go over here to insert elevation point. In your command bar, it'll ask for distance or increment. I'm going to type I for increment, and then I'm going to do 5, which is 5 feet. So 5 feet between all my increments. So when I create a break line, this will create a very smooth surface. You can do it as like 1 foot increments. You can make them however spaced out you want, but I always do 5. I think 5 is perfect. I think if you do 1, you could be doing too much, but I think 5 feet increments are perfect. So yeah, I'm just gonna assign that to the rest of my stuff, and then I want to go over how to exclude certain points. Okay, so now we're gonna go over how to include and exclude points. This will be mostly excluding. I don't know why I said include, but let's say, for example, we have this road center line, and then we have this water valve. If we want to not have these appear in our surface anymore, so you go to your point groups, topo points, right click, and then you go to properties. There we go. And then you have an exclude tab here. You just click on this guy. So you can do this with numbers matching, with elevations that match, with names, descriptions, full descriptions. So like for this guy, like I have my CP, my control point, BM, my benchmark, MON, and section corner and monument. I have it so those automatically exclude because I don't want them part of my surface. But you can add other things into here. For example, if we do comma and then RCL, whoops, they have to match the same description, so this needs to be caps locked. So RCL, and then a little asterisk at the end. Click OK. Since I have this set to rebuild automatically, and now just threw my tin surface out to this water valve. So now it won't include these road centerline points. So yeah, we can just do this over and over again and just like include descriptions for things you don't want in here. Another example, so like for mine, I'm going to do the YL for yellow line, WTL for white line. This would be the striping on the road. I'm going to put WV for water valve. And then so on and so forth. There's so many things I can include and exclude from here. So it didn't count this guy because it's not really part of a description and like turns it into a block when entering your points in. So if you want it not to include that, you click this option, and then so select numbers matching blah 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 blah, and click select set and drawing. Just click this guy. Come on. Okay. Click enter. Click OK. And now I think I have to type it all the way out, but anyways, you can just select what you don't want in there. I think for my water valve, the description here is set to say water valve instead of just WV. Oh wait, nope. That's my problem. I didn't add a comma. That should work now. Or maybe not. There we go. You have to check the description on your points, and then you just type that in, and it will exclude it from the drawing. But yeah, that's how you exclude points. From here, I was going to do a feature line out to here, but I don't really care about that because our property is here, so I want to see the contours within that. So I'm not going to include this road. So I'm going to toss that. See this right here? If I want to not go to these manhole, the sanitary sewer manhole, I can just go to my exclude, comma, MSS, asterisk, click OK. Cool, now it's not going to include that. That should be good. Cool. Now I want to add my break lines in. So I'm just going to select all of my feature lines. I'm going to add to my surface as a break line. This wants to know which surface. We're doing the existing surface. Click OK. Description, just call them break lines. Don't need to worry about any of these other options. Click OK. And we're going to see if it crashes my computer. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it did. Sweet. So you can start to see with our triangles here, we made a pretty well-defined surface. So if we want to check out our handiwork, you just click on your surface, right-click, go to Object Viewer. You just change whatever framework, shade, whatever you want in here to see what's going on. They made the object viewer so finicky to use. Kind of annoying, but we can start to see what's going on here. So we zoom in. You can start to see all the stuff you defined. So we zoom in. Man, they made this very complicated. Man, look at that. Like, yep, that looks like curb and gutter to me. That looks really good. You can see your contours, your minor and your major contours. I have stuff poking up here because they had like mounds of soil. So if I wanted to not include these mounds of soil, I would just take my points off from that, which is like TS for top of soil. No. I think it's top of slope. No. I would exclude TOS, which is tops of soil, and TS for top of slope. Top slope or whatever. To get rid of these mounds if I truly didn't want them in here anymore. But yeah, this looks really good. Okay, so for the final step here is I want to create a data shortcut for our surface. So in order to do that, you go to your tool space, prospector tab, and then you scroll all the way to the bottom. You should have your data shortcuts. You need to right click this guy, go to set working folder, which you will proceed to go to whatever folder you have this set in. You'll just hit select this folder, and then from here you need to set data shortcut project folder. Actually, no, you need to click new data shortcuts. You just give it a name like shortcuts. Use project template, and then you click these 3 dots, and then you select wherever your template is located. Or you can not do this, but that's what I would do. Click OK, and then you should be good. And then when you go to set data shortcut project folder, it should have the name of the project folder, not the project folder, but the shortcut folder that you're going to be using everything in. So that's perfect. So from here, I've done this before already just to test some stuff, so let's just remove this guy real quick. So you go down to the surfaces right here, right click it. Oh wait, no, whoops, sorry. Disregard that. Go to data shortcuts, right click, create data shortcut. And then you'll have your surfaces that pop up here. You do this for your pipe networks, pressure networks, but yeah, we're doing just our surfaces. Just click the green plus on, click OK. And then boom, there's your data shortcut. If this doesn't work, or if it pops up with an error that says you need to set the correct shortcut, you just right click on this guy, go to associate project to current drawing, and that should still allow you to create a data shortcut. Anyways, so to check if this is working correctly, just go hit the plus over here to create a brand new drawing. In your tool space, prospector tab here, go down. You should see that your working folder should still be set to the folder you set for whatever project you're doing. Click down, there's your surfaces here, and then here should be your existing. You right click, create a reference, and there we go. If you haven't created a DWT, which is a drawing template, your styles might come in as a default Civil 3D styles template. So that's something you'll have to... I don't have time to go over and talk about how to create drawing templates, but yeah, if you're wondering, like, if you look here and you're not getting all of your different types of styles and whatnot for your surfaces, that's probably why. It's because your drawing template hasn't been set up correctly. But mine's good. I don't know what it looks like default anymore because I'm not on default. I have all my own stuff, but it does have some that you still see your contours. I think one of them is like you'll say contours at 2-foot interval or something or other, but like I have all my own styles here. So, but anyways, cancel. Actually, let's set this guy real quick. Set this back to my survey. Let's do 2-foot dashed. Click OK. Click OK. Triple click your mouse button in, and there's our surface with all of our contour lines. Okay, and that's it. That's it for the existing surface. I will see you in the next video, video 4, which will be putting everything together to create your record of survey for like a simplistic boundary survey. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.